What is going on, YouTube family? How are we doing? It's time to get this party started again. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Valentine's Day, as well as the simpler room. I didn't really say I hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day, but I hope everyone had a good one. I had a great time enjoying my time with my loved one, taking her back to actually the spot that we got engaged at. But now it's time to get back to what makes me money and what pays for the stuff that we do on those kind of weekends. So let's get it, guys. All right. So if you are new here and you're not too familiar about what I do, what's going on, everybody? My name is Maverick Mike, Sniper Mike, Mike Teeto. You guys can call me whatever kind of Mike you want, just not Magic Mike. And what I do is I look to try to take one stock to the next overnight every single day. So every day I'm usually looking to swing a stock overnight. This helps me with my consistency because I've now been trading for over 10 plus years. We're reaching 11 years now in trading. And I found that that's what helped me stay consistent with these overnight swings. I also found that at the beginning of my career, when I was below that PDT rule, that swinging stuff overnight actually helps you because you don't have to use a day trade. So if I buy something late in the day today and I sell it tomorrow morning, we actually don't have to use a day trade. But if you want to see the full journey from 2015, it's been a hell of a ride. And I'm now crossing over 516, actually 517K in profits now altogether since the beginning of the journey. But it took about 3 years to really get going for me. And that's when I really created the community that I still am with today. So if you aren't familiar with who I am, I actually have a quick little backstory about myself, and I won't make it too long because we are here to make money, not to talk about Mike. But I do like to show you guys exactly where I come from and what I look to do every day. But the sniper community actually started with my twin brother, Nick, and my best friend, Alex, back in 2017. We met in middle school. The community started with weekly meetings at Dunkin' Donuts, and this is actually one of our first meetings here in 2017. And it was really just to try to escape that 9 to 5. And that's what we did there. We were able to kind of grow our account to over 200K together. And then we were able to create a mobile app, and that's where we created our community. We had a mobile app and website and a chat room, and it was a lot of fun. We helped over 2,000 traders. But after 4 years, Nick and Alec kind of decided they wanted to do their own thing. So I kept the teaching and I kept the community going. I didn't really want to see it go. And Nick is still in there. He still talks every once in a while. You'll see him in there. And some of the original people from the beginning, like Amari, which is back. He's not in this picture, but Damon is right here. They've been with us since the beginning, and they continue to tag bags in the chat. So that was the community at first. Here was the app on the App Store. And look at that, the sniper scope. What we're going to do tonight is exactly what we had there on that overnight watch list, or on the app too. So no matter where I was, what community I was a part of, I was always creating this overnight watch list. And that's what we're going to do today. We're looking to take one of these 5 stocks overnight. We got a chat room in here. We got the actual alert of what we look for. So if you click in to what we're going to go over today, we'll show you all of this stuff right here, but this is what you're going to see. And then it became me on my own, and I started to do a little solo dolo thing. So I've been trading now for 10 years, almost 11 years, riding the bull in New York, teaching, educating. And then this is my twin brother community. He's been trading for 8 years now. There's the old logo that we had. Roland Wolf, Tim Sykes, hanging with the gang. There's my man Damon. We got Sauce Boy, who's made over 100K in profits. You can actually go to my YouTube and look at some of his old stories. And then there's Amari right there. And then my boy Chamo, baby. Can't forget about him. We have photos together. I actually got to get that photo of us together. And my man Himony. So the OGs, the crews, I always got to shout you guys out. Much love for always being a part of this team. And I wouldn't be anywhere the same without all y'all, especially my man Chamo. Much love, dog. But the goal is now, after showing you all that community, how can we make some more money from one day to the next. And I got a group of stocks we're going to look at. Number one being this ATAI, which is actually my favorite. It just took a dip down to 375. This is a psychedelic stock creating a type of pattern that I call a first green day. And usually what I mean is I'm looking for this stock to go from one day to the next. So can we follow up in ATAI tomorrow to get possibly back above $4? If it gets above $4 and you're entering around here, you're going to be up close to 10%. If it spikes above 4, you'll be up 10%. And that's usually the goal that I look for every single day. So every day I'm trying to ideally make right around 10 to 15% on the upside. And on the downside, I am trying to risk about 5% or less. And it depends. Some stocks I'll get a little more risky. But for the most part, I have my plan written up right here. Hold on, it's loading. This is for options. So give it a second to load up here. But for options, I obviously look for a little more. Other than that, though, let me get to my plan here. This is actually my book that I have. I came out. It's my course. If anybody's really interested in learning this stuff, this is definitely something I highly recommend. But there it is right there. So risking 15% to make negative 5%. Or to lose 5%. And then if it has sector momentum, we look for a little more, make 25% to risk 10, and options a little more. But with this ATAI, we're holding 375. That's usually the area I like to use as cut. So let's see what we get here into the close. The other one that I thought was pretty interesting was this BSXGF. I don't know what's happening with this stock, but there's a huge buyer down here at 72. So you can use 70, 72 as cut and look for a possible push. The one thing I don't love about it is how much it's gapped up. So usually when a stock gaps up that big, it's a little harder for me to trust again overnight. But we've got some really nice volume coming in on BSXGF. And it's a gold stock that got some news over the weekend. And usually when you get news over the weekend, it looks like this is what caused it to spike. But the Federal Regional Court has accepted our appeal to reinstate installation license, which was suspended in 2017. I was going to say I've heard about this stock before, but this is a gold stock, as many gold stocks are going up. Now, something I do want to point out before we get into the overnight watch list and before I really maybe not even take anything overnight is there's something really important I do have to tell all of you. Yesterday or last week, we did really well with making over $1,500, but we screwed up on Friday by chasing something in a slow market. And right now, that's what it's kind of seems like here. We have a really, wow, BSXGF keeps pushing. But we have a really kind of tough market that we've been dealing with. And we're also in a holiday week. And holiday weeks, I typically like to say, they're usually times that you want to practice your patience. So on this holiday week, I'm not going to jump the gun on anything right away because I made that mistake on Friday and it kind of bit me in the butt. So today we're going to pull back a little bit and stay a little bit more patient. And I like to usually make my move in the last 30 minutes of the day. And today I'm definitely going to wait for the last 30 minutes of the day because I don't want what happened to me on Friday happen to me here, where I think the markets look pretty decent because the QQQ and SPY are still teetering green to red right now. And then what if they just fall out like they did on Friday? Literally at the end of the day, it fell out. And we had a lot of these listed stocks kind of follow it. So right now, I'm not too convinced with this spike. I'm going to wait, like I said, for the last 30 minutes until we see if we can take advantage of one of these plays. But it looks like BSXGF is the only one that kind of has a buyer and momentum right now. The rest of these stocks are kind of coming down. So we're going to let these play out. We'll see what we get. I'm going to create the overnight watch list now, and then we'll go over that together, and we'll see if we can make some money. So let me just finish the list here. And usually I make the list in my community. So if you aren't familiar, at simplertrading.com, you can find me under Stock Mavericks. And that's where I throw in all of these notes, all of these alerts. Everything that I usually do daily is in the Stock Mavericks room on Simpler Trading. So come check us out. Love to have you on the team. But right now I'm going to make this list. And with ATAI dipping, maybe we have something there. It's still only up 5%. It's barely anything. I usually like these stocks to be up at least 10%. So today is definitely a little bit of a lighter day. And the one thing I didn't bring up, the last thing, is the sector that ATAI is. It's a psychedelic sector, which that usually ran with the cannabis stocks, and cannabis stocks have been dead forever. So you kind of want to be aware that this isn't really a hot sector. It's just kind of a stock that's trying to create some sort of bounce. And nothing really too special, only being up 4% on the day. But the long-term support is 340, which is really not that far from the daily support. So maybe this is due to bounce. So this one over here, CGEH, that I'm putting on the list, we actually had this on the list on Friday, and I missed it. But taking it from Friday to today, you could have made 10%, close to it, if you sold it into that morning spike. Now it's holding this $6 spot, and we're going to see if it could eventually break above 658, which is the 52-week highs, or 667, sorry. So the first two are ATAI and CGEH. The next one I'm going to put on there, so how you read this watch list is I like to put the stock first, what pattern it is, and I only play 5 patterns, mainly only 2. I put what the stock is. It's an OTC gold stock with news. And then I like to put the support, which for here looks like 65. So the support's a little far from the resistance, which isn't my favorite. It's a little bit too wide of a spread. And then the big gap up. I think just this big buyer is dragging it up. So if you somehow got in below that big buyer, that looks good. But other than that, all right. See there, CGEH from the last time. HGRAF just dipped to support, and usually I like to buy these stocks at support, so that's not a bad one to look at. And it's right by this month high, which is 283. So that's what you would expect it to break if it does go. But I'm still practicing the patience. We have 45 minutes left in the day. All right, and the last one I'm going to do is actually a sub penny, which is very, very risky. But I always say higher risk, higher reward. So this sub penny actually came up and broke a penny, which is always a big thing, a big deal if a stock's able to break that penny. So if it holds that spot, we might be able to gap up really nicely here. So there is the 5 stocks. Let's review them really quickly. There is a chance I don't go after any, and I mean, it's rare. I would say I average 2 trades a day, but there is also a time that you have to understand when it is slower. So on average this year, I average 2 trades a day. But today could be another day we decide to pull back a little bit. So we got Tuesday's overnight watch list, 217. The first one is ATAI. And this is a listed stock, so you kind of are rooting for the QQQ and SPY to go. Not saying that if the market doesn't go, this does. It doesn't exactly follow listed stocks, but at the same time, usually if the markets are gapping down big, that will too. At the end of the day, we have a clear-cut spot, which is 370, and that's why we put the daily support there. And then the goal is always buy as close to the support, hopefully sell above the resistance. And the resistance is 388. And then the next resistance is coming up to this like 450 area. And then support is down here by like 330. So it's nice that it's kind of holding in this range. I just don't know if it's going to have enough room to kind of really get a big enough move tomorrow, because we still want to make close to 10%. I don't know if that's going to be able to do it tomorrow. But that's what I'm watching. I'm still closely watching this HGRAF, even though it's coming down. It was just at 273. So the fact that we're coming down pretty hard is a good factor to maybe watch. You know, if it comes back to 273, you're up 5% already. So that would be a nice bounce. This is usually where you want to get in. I always say dips are discounts. So this would be a good time to start to look into HGRAF if you like that for a day to follow up tomorrow. Same with ATAI. If you like that, you should like these dips right here. And then the other one, BSXGF, it's got some sort of buyer that keeps bringing it up. It popped in at 72 right here, and it's been holding since. So until that buyer disappears, this stock looks like it's going to continue to go up. But on the long-term chart, it did just gap up from 40 cents, which is a little risky because there's not a lot of follow-up days in the past. And it's right at that yearly resistance. Wow, this is actually kind of crazy. It's at 5-year resistance coming up. So no matter what, this has to be, even if we don't play it today, this has to be on the watch list for tomorrow, for sure. I think there could be a big opportunity, even if we miss it today, and then it continues tomorrow. So keep an eye on that. It looks like the big buyer is actually getting eaten a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. If HGRF was up a little more than 2%, I think I would probably try it. But the fact it's only up 2% makes me a little less interested in it. And then the CGEH, same thing. The fact it's up 2% makes me a little less interested. If it goes red, you know, it definitely becomes unattracting. A big part of what my pattern is I like to see the candle on the long-term chart green, because I'm looking for momentum. I'm looking for shifts. And right now we have a shift that looks like it's going to break up. But if this goes back red, it's going to start looking like it's on the downward trend, and I start to become unattractive. So this goes back to, like I was saying earlier, with the QQQ and SPY being such an ugly downtrend since FOMC last month, that we've kind of just downtrended since. It's been almost a month of downtrending. You know, no real big spikes. We got a little bit of a spike here, but other than that, it's come back down. And it's just been that kind of battle, I'd say, this past month. It hasn't been really pretty, but we've still been able to make things work. Now, knowing when to pull back is important, and knowing that you do not have to have a position every single day in the market to profit is very, very important too. Because I was one of those people at the beginning of my career that I was addicted to having a play overnight, and I had to have something every day, or else I felt like my day wasn't fulfilled. And usually, yeah, if you're sitting in front of your screens all day and then you don't make a move, you do get upset at yourself. It's easy too, because you've just been sitting here all day and you're like, what the heck's going on? And then you give up, or you take a half-ass trade today, and then tomorrow you don't go after the good trade because of what you did today. So there's a lot of opportunity cost that goes into taking a half-ass trade. Also, the big thing that I like to say is, you know, I'm a big fitness guy. I'm actually on like a nice fitness journey right now. I'm doing like a transformation challenge. I think I gained a little bit more weight than I wanted to. And now I'm kind of going to transform myself, lose like 10 pounds and get my six-pack back. But with the gym, the thing about the gym is you can go to the gym twice a day. And you can do stuff more at the gym, and you'll definitely get the outcome there. In the market, it's not the same. It is not the same at all. So really pinpoint that. If you do more in the market in a slow time, you will lose more money. And that will bite you in the butt completely. It won't just bite you in the butt financially. it'll really beat you up mentally. So I always like to say that, I know that when you're sitting in front of your screen all day and you want to make something happen, you're not, the more you do does not make money. It's more about the execution, the spots you're in, the days you decide to play. So, uh, as much as you want to sit here and press buttons, if there's nothing there, you're going to make more money not pressing buttons. So that is the whole kind of thing. I was thinking about it today when I was at the gym. I'm like, damn, I've been going to 2-a-days lately. Since I'm on this fitness grind, it's been about a month now that I've started this kind of transformation challenge. I mean, I ended last year rough. I went to Europe for 3 weeks. I went to South Florida twice. I celebrated my fiance's wedding, and then we celebrated Christmas and Thanksgiving. So there was just so much that those are all excuses for sure, but they're fun, and I like to have fun. So I did my fun, but now we got to tighten up a little bit, and that's why the discipline is coming in with my fitness. I'm like, damn, I'm actually doing really good. I'm starting to notice my six pack come back. It's 2-a-days, like 2-a-days. If you're doing 2-a-days, one cardio, one heavy weights. I'm doing Orange Theory at night, and then we're doing LA Fitness in the morning. That'll definitely change you up. In the market, it's completely different. It's completely different. But there are ways that you can prepare yourself. So does anybody have questions or anything concerns before I continue to go on? Because even if we don't play anything today, there are still ways that you can get better in these slower times, or you can perfect your craft. And one of the ways is what I did earlier over the weekend. Even though we didn't like what we had and there wasn't much going on to end the week last week, we still showed up and created an overnight or a weekly watch list for next week. And I do this every single day or every single week at the start of the week. I also create a morning watch list every day. Those are two things that you can kind of do if it is slow. You start to prepare yourself for potentially later instead of having to swing and having to throw darts right now and possibly losing. You also, one really big thing that can help you out is you track all your trades. I do it on a whiteboard, I do it on an Excel sheet, and I do it on Profitly. I do it on a website. So there's 3 places that I like to track all my trades. And if you go into my Profitly, you'll be able to see all of them, like I said, from the beginning of the journey. And a big part that helps me here is if you do struggle, if you do have to stay patient for 2 days or 3 days, you can look back and say, oh, wow, we're actually doing really good. And even though I did lose $400 on Friday, I still made $1,300 on the week. So we're good. So those are big things that I think that you should point out with when you're dealing with it. But yeah, just to show you, last week we did 2 trades per day. So this is my last week's stats. We had 10 trades total, 7 wins, 3 losses. Last month, we had 42 trades total, so 2 trades a day. And then 2 weeks ago, we had 12 trades in the week, so 2.2 trades. So we're averaging 2 trades. It just seems like today, for some reason, it just seems like it. I mean, ATAI is the only one. So, I mean, I think I might do ATAI, go a little lighter, but I just wouldn't expect 10% here. This is a stock that I wouldn't expect a lot. I really wouldn't. So I'm going to keep watching it. I still do want to wait for the last 30 minutes of the day. But the more this holds 370, the more I do like ATAI to possibly give us maybe that first bounce green day back to 380. Look at HGRAF. See, this is why I didn't want to go after it. It's only up 1% now. So don't want to touch that. And then BSXGF's just up too much. Can't touch it. So it's really, in my opinion, ATAI seems like one of my only ones right now. This VMHG is way too light volume. Usually I like over $1 million in dollar volume. And I always pay attention to total dollar volume. A stock that actually ran really well today is ATOM, one day to the next. And then another one I like to watch for possible huge squeezing action, there's always usually one that we could watch, is SGN. Last week, there was QNCX that went crazy after that first green day, and that brought a lot of other stocks to continue. So now SGN could be that new one. We'll keep an eye on this. I don't think I'm going to play this first green day because it's already up way too much. But if anybody caught in the 30s, that's a huge move there to try to get your account going. A huge runner for me. So say we don't take anything overnight. That's okay because I'll have a morning watch list tomorrow. And usually there's opportunity costs when you don't take anything overnight. You now have your funds locked up. And not only your funds, you have your focus locked up. So two important things that you need in the market are locked up, and it's harder for you to make a move on these morning plays if you're trying something overnight. So let me just show you what I'm looking for tomorrow, and it starts with this big runner Rime. RIME, huge mover here. But now it's starting to settle. And what we look for is that next leg up tomorrow. So will it be able to leg back up? I mean, this stock was at $300 not even 2 years ago. You need to hold. So what I like to do is I set myself up key levels today, which I like to do low a day. I like to do VWAP high. So I'll probably do right here. I'm not going to do all the way up here. And then where it closes. I like to set up lines to prepare myself for tomorrow. And a huge one that we caught last week was NCI. You could see the lines set up. Now look at the lines. So we set them up for this day right here. And if I go to the minute chart and I look at it, you can see what I'm seeing here is we were looking for this stock to hold those lines. Usually you want it to hold two and then eventually break above the third. And for this stock, it was beautiful. I mean, it held the two into the close. And then pre-market the next day, it popped above the third, held the third, and then went crazy when it spiked above the fourth from 240 to 360. You actually could have doubled your money, 50% on your money very quickly. And it just shows you the potential of these morning momentum moves. So what happened in NCI right here could easily happen tomorrow morning in Rime. And if you zoom out, this is what the chart looks like. So it looks like that. If I go back to the other one, it looks slightly different, but you can see it's a downward day. So it's a big day, then a downward day. That's usually what you need for a possible big short squeeze. You want to be where the shorts are going to get caught. And right now, if they don't come down for another day tomorrow, the shorts are going to be caught. And I can almost guarantee it. Just got to make sure it holds those areas. It looks like CGEH fell below 6, so I'm no longer interested in that anymore. HERAF, I'm no longer interested in. We're going to take that off. So we've got two stocks we're kind of taking off this watch list. And now it's really just ATAI, VMHG, and KRKNF. I mean, in BSXGF. As you heard earlier, I average 2 trades a day. Today, I definitely see myself possibly taking 1 or 0. But it's just what presents yourself. Remember, this isn't the gym. The more trades I make, the more money. It's not like that. You know, obviously, the more weights I do and the more consistent I am at the gym, the bigger I'm going to get or the more cut I want to be, the more cardio I do. But it's not like that here, unfortunately. VMHG is just so light, but it is holding that penny spot almost all day. And a sub penny that breaks a penny is always a big move. Just the volume is the one thing I can't touch that. It's just way too light for me. Way too light. And now we have the QQQ and SPY going red. So are they going to do exactly what they did on Friday, which caused a lot of these listed stocks to just kind of sink under and then end up continuing to fall? In my opinion, ATAI seems to be one of the only ones that I might lean towards. Other than that, though, I think I'm starting to lean more towards patience and pulling that dopamine addiction back. That dopamine addiction means you have to be in something every day. And that's all it is an addiction to dopamine. It's that feeling. You just want that feeling that you're in something. Because when you're in it, You get that satisfying, amazing feeling. The funny part is, even if you make tons of money, right when you sell that button, that dopamine actually releases. And once that dopamine releases, you're usually searching for it again. So understanding where you're at in the cycle of trading is important on the day-to-day level. And right now, since we haven't had 2 red days in a row in a long time, I feel like I'm almost sitting here like trying to make a move because we already had 1 red day, but I think it'll be okay if we have 2 red days. Technically, it was only $100 loss earlier today. And then yesterday was like the mistake on Friday was just a mistake. Oh, let's go. Himony got SGN. I just saw that. So my man Himony is bagging SGN over here. Let's go, buddy. And HTRF isn't bad either, Himony. I could see why you would like a dip like this. This definitely doesn't look bad if it gaps up. I'm going to keep Rhyme pulled up because that one's just, I feel like it is going to be the big one tomorrow. Well, no, I'll go back to it. We'll watch SGN for now. So we do have 30 minutes left. We're in the second half of Power Hour, which is usually the time I like to get a little more aggressive. But as of right now, we're kind of pulling our foot off the brake. I'm going back to that taxi cab analogy is what I like to call it. And all that is a taxi cab driver. I say this enough and I will never get sick of it. But if you're a smart taxi cab driver, you're going to drive on the busiest days. If you're one of those drivers that are just going to drive to make money, you're going to drive Monday to Friday and you're going to drive every day till you make $200. So Monday you'll make 200 and take you like 5 hours. Tuesday take you like 5 hours. Wednesday take you like 5 hours, and Thursday take you like 5 hours. But on Friday it only takes you 1 hour to make 200, and you disappear. You say, I'll take that 1 hour and I'm gone. Well, that is what the normal cab driver would do. But if you think of it a little outside the box, and if you think like a trader, you want to instead get a little more aggressive on that Friday when you could make $200 in 1 hour. Instead, travel Friday, enjoy your Friday instead of instead of the normal guy who's going to do the 1 hour and enjoy their Friday. I'd highly recommend you to grind all Friday, work 7 hours, make 200 times 7, $1,400 when you only were going to make $800 the whole, or you're going to do $1,000 on that whole week, working your ass off all week. Or you can just work the same hours on Friday and make more than what you were going to do all week. So that's the analogy that goes into trading. It's the same exact thing. You know, you got to put that effort when the markets are giving you the opportunity. But you also need to know how to pull back when it doesn't. And when the markets give you opportunity, you have to show up every day to find out. That's the beauty of the market. You have to really love this game, because if you do love this game, then you will show up every day and you will find out when it is hot. But if you don't absolutely love it, it becomes a little bit harder to take advantage of those big moves, because you're probably just going to show up on certain days and you're going to just try to trade on those days. Or you're working full-time job, which I did that at first when I was first trading, but you only show up to the market on the days that you're off. Those are huge, huge, huge mistakes when it comes to trading, because you'll never actually identify when things are really hot if you do that. So for me right now, things are cold. I think we pulled it back a little bit. And we'll see what happens. While we pull back and we continue to watch these plays, I know, like I said, I'm waiting for this to possibly make a move, but I do think I'm just going to stay away from everything. Let's look at what I like to do every week to start the week. So to start the week, we actually create a weekly watch list. And usually this weekly watch list is going to give us the opportunities that we need possibly for this week. It's actually Tuesday. I always like to say that if I could make at least one possible bag from this watch list, then we've done our job. So let's get into the weekly watch list. We'll do the morning watch list later as the day gets into the close. But as the weekly watch list is here, let's look into some of these other plays here that could possibly be lining up even for tomorrow, maybe. So ATAI is coming down lower. So good patience. I really do think it's going to be a patience day. But as we go down the board, what I like to read this list is I always like to say sectors first, and then I dive into listed stocks, options, and OTCs. The reason why I go over sectors first is because a lot of these big spurts in my profit chart come from when there was sector momentum. So when COVID was hot, we had a great streak. Just recently, there was like 5-cent stocks that were hot in 2024. And then just recently, we had like Bitcoin heat up and you had some cannabis heat up. So you've had some sector momentum here to start this new year. And I mean, to start 2025 and then close 2025. This new year, not too much yet, but I'm sure we'll get it as the year comes on. So Bitcoin is my number one watcher as in sector. What I'm looking for in Bitcoin is if BTC can actually push above 70K and then above 72K, I do think we're finally going to get a flux of movement in Bitcoin stocks. And there is a couple of Bitcoin stocks that I like the most. It's really the top two. BTCS is a small cap one. And this one had a huge run last time Bitcoin ran from $2 to $8, and it's back down to 2. So if Bitcoin gets started up again, I do think that this one's a great one to watch to possibly get started up again. BTCS. And then Coinbase. Coinbase had earnings on Friday. It spiked. Oh, wow. It actually recovered. It was coming down earlier, but I guess it recovered. Oh, that's surprising. Oh, wow. It had a big spike today. But I was trying to see if Coinbase could come lower because Coinbase on the long-term chart looks like it's really exhausted. It's from 440 back to 140. Same thing with MSTR, which is the other big Bitcoin stock, from 450 down to a friggin' 140. So same thing, just a huge fall off. And if Bitcoin does end up making these legs up, I think we're due for a Bitcoin bounce soon. In my opinion, I do think Bitcoin's going to hit 50K this year. But I think we are due for a bounce first, and then maybe it trends down a little more. That's kind of what I'm looking for more out of that. All right. So most stuff is coming down. Honestly, HGRAF might be one of the only ones now, unless ATAI gets some momentum. But I think I'm going to lean more towards let's just stay patient and not take anything. But so getting back into the weekly watch list. So all of these are Bitcoin stocks that look hot. If you go down the line, HIVE, Hive, it's just multiple red days that are due to spike. CAN's almost unbelievable how much this has fallen. It's come all the way down from $2 to new 52-week lows. You have BitF, another one that used to be a huge runner from 140 to 660, coming all the way down. Mm-hmm. And then now none of this stuff I'm going to look at unless Bitcoin bounces. So this could all just be talk. But if Bitcoin does start to make that move I said, we got to watch that. The next one, the next group of stocks we have, ATAI, we have already went after. FFAI, So one thing you're going to realize a lot of these stocks is they're downtrending multiple days. And usually when they downtrend multiple days, I look for the first possible bounce green day. So that's what I'm looking for in these, seeing if we can get any type of maybe bounce green day out of them. But I'm not going to just guess the bottom and buy them right here. That's why I have the alert set, because it's more really trying to catch the uptrend. And a lot of stocks have fallen because how ugly the market's been lately. So with the ugly market, it makes sense for these to fall. And we'll see if we get the turnaround. So FFAI is a good example. My morning momentum plays, meaning I'm looking for them to make that next leg up. We have Chow, RIME, which is my favorite one for tomorrow. ATOM. But that one actually followed up, so I wouldn't look at that one. And then GXAI, if it holds. So those are decent morning momentum plays. We'll keep an eye on them. And then we have some other possibilities. We have Cannabis, CGC, first green day, RR, first green day, multiple red days, HIMS, multiple red days. So there's some sort of trend going on right now, and we're due for definitely a possible turnaround in these small caps. It's been a while since we've got something good here. And then for EV stocks, Plug and Lucid, if EV stocks start to turn around. But I actually think I'm going to try a little bit of this ATAI. And then HGREF, I think I'm going to try some of that too. So let's get out of this list. If you want to join the team, Stock Mavericks under Simpler Trading, you can see the rest of this list. And we do it every single week to start the week. But I got some plays I'm actually watching, and that's ATAI and HGREF. I think I like them both for possibilities here. So we're going to try to start sizing in. I don't think I'm going to look for anything big. I think I'm going to look for small gap ups, if anything. But I think we've actually got a clear cut spot. So as long as we have a cut spot in place and we can stick to that, that's where we feel comfortable. And right now, ATAI is clear at 370, which you don't risk a lot, and HGREF is clear at 257. So we have two that I would say we think are pretty decent. Now let's see what we can do to close out the day. I'm going to try to get some ATAI at 375 here. And then we'll try to do HGREF right around this spot, like 262, 260. Let's see what we can do here, guys. We have 15 minutes left in the day. So with the 15 minutes left, the goal is you always want to try to, you always want to have a risk spot. So if it does come down, you have to know losses are part of the game. Just take it. It looks like the big buyer just lined up again. It's kind of just sitting here at 7294. So let's see if it's able to make that next leg up. It's definitely just sitting there with that one. We'll see if it's able to get that push, but it also looks like there's a seller now. So let's see how the buyers and sellers deal with each other. Oh, the seller just went through. Let's see if this is able to kind of get it. Oh, it looks like it's going to come under. Yeah, I'm going to stay away from that one. We're just going to do HGREF and ATAI here. ATAI just got some at that. What are we averaging? Right now we got 375. I'm going to have to move my bid up to get some more. So on average now we got 376. 1,300 shares is what I'm going to try with there. HGREF's a little bit lighter, so I'm more waiting for the dip on that one. But if you want to try HERF, you can with us. I'm just going to alert ATI though. That's going to be the one that we go after. And it's going to be more slower. I'm not expecting a jackpot. I really am not. I'm not, maybe not even 10%. You know, obviously that's what I look for every day. And there could be an opportunity that we do get that, because you don't know what you're going to get unless you put yourself into the situation. And that's what we're doing right here. We're putting ourselves into the situation. All right, so we're looking for the winner overnight. Not expecting too much, but good job. We got the 376 spot. We'll see if we can get some more. But that seems like the one that we've been eyeing down almost all day. HDREF is a little random, but it's also a stock that we used to play too. That's not a bad watcher. So that's kind of why I like that one too. We'll see if we can catch any more dips in any of these. Only 12 minutes left in the day here. Nice. ATAI just made new highs. Let's fucking go. And then for that HGREF, I'm going to go a little bit lighter. So like I said, if you guys want to try that with me, you can. But same thing with that. It's really just treating it as more just trying to get a gap up here. Let's see what we get here into the close. So our average in HGREF is 2. Looks like we should have won after 260 now, 263. All right, so HGRF and ATAI are the ones. I guess that dip was a nice one to get into. I waited a little too long possibly there. Both of them, though, did dip, and I always say dips are discounts, so good to see. Let's see if they can hold into the close. We have 10 minutes left. I always say we look for the fourth quarter pushes here. This BSXGF, if you do like it, it did dip. You want to buy into dips. Because what happens is you're putting less risk when you buy into dips, and then your reward is higher if it kind of spikes back up. So those are the two big pluses. Let's see what we got. We got 9 minutes left. The goal is for these to hold and then hopefully gap up tomorrow. ATAI will move after hours. It's a listed stock, so be on the lookout for that. They do have news this morning, which is a little bit of a bonus, but their news is that they're presenting at a conference next month. So it's not like anything special. And then it just got rejected at 380, which seems like that big resistance spot now. So if anything, that will be the spot we look for it to break tomorrow. Hopefully you can gap up and push above that. If not, will just clear out. And the same thing with HGRAF. I'm not looking for jackpots. I'm just kind of found something that I did end up liking, so we're trying. And that's all it is here. I always say you can't win without putting yourself into position to win. A lot of people call stock traders lucky, but they don't realize that those people are putting themselves into position to win. And that's what's causing that win. Wow, ATAI is still moving. It's good to see. Nice. It just ticked up. Let's go, guys. Love seeing that. Probably should have more into this one, but I was trying to get more, but I missed out on the ad there. So we're just going to let it ride with what we got. Anyone from the YouTube channel got any questions of what we look for? This is a little bit of a good example. I average 2 trades a day, and here we are. We're in 2 trades now. Just like that. If we can get back to highs, that would be absolutely amazing. But I don't think we will. But the fact if we hold 381, that would be great too. HGRAF still holding too. I'm very surprised by these pushes. Let's go. I guess I should have entered a little more on this dip. We'd be up really nicely. We'd have that 5% cushion I was talking about. I waited a little bit longer to get in, but it's a good start. Same with this ATAI. And then for those of you guys that are interested in these kind of patterns, come check me out in the Simpler Trading website. I actually send out my alerts here, everything that you can get about the market, morning watch list, weekly watch list, alerts, all the above is right here in the Simpler Trading website under Stock Mavericks. Come show some love and let's make some money together. Hopefully this HGRF can hold into the close here. Same with ATAI. But we got 5 minutes left. We are looking for that buzzer beater push here. And I know I told you at the beginning of this webinar to pull back a little bit, but the beauty of the market is things change by the minute. And there's no way of perfecting this market, but it is a beautiful market to trade. It reminds me of golf. There's no way to perfect golf. About 5 minutes left. Let's see if we can get the buzzer beater pushes or just the fourth or just the holds into the close. That's ideally what we want. Hopefully they don't dip. There's a chance they do dip into the close. Maybe we add more if they dip. We'll see. This BSXGF did hold up, so it does have a chance to gap up. It's just up too much for me, too risky. And then VMHG, just not enough volume. CGEH fell below support, and if you fall below support, we're not going after you. But let's see what we got. Any questions, anybody? Let's see. Nice. It doesn't look like anyone's too confused here, which I like to see that. I like to hear that. Hopefully you guys caught some of these and maybe we can make some money overnight. Now, if you are with us and you don't decide to come into the Simpler Trading Stock Mavericks room, the ideal goal is they start up. So if both of these start down, we instantly have to think about possibly getting out. And then if they do start up, we usually like to have some sort of comfort, so an area that we can use to get out and then see if it could keep pushing. So that's the ideal situation for ATAI. I'm hoping it opens above 380 and keeps pushing. If it opens below 380, that'll make me a little nervous and I'll possibly decide to just get out. And then HGRAF, I do not want it back to 258. If that happens, I'll probably just sell it even. or, you know, a little loss. Whatever we decide to do, we're going to stick to our cut no matter what. And ATAI will move until 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you're an ATAI, watch it after hours. Also, pre-market at 7 a.m. in the morning is when you can actually sell ATAI. So there is a chance we do that, depending on where it opens up tomorrow. ATAI was actually the stock I played when I went to Europe to start my trip. I was on the plane, and it was like it's like a 9-hour flight. So I pretty much was on it when I bought the stock right here, and then I ended up selling it up here. And it was pushing way more pre-market, but I couldn't sell yet. And then once the plane Wi-Fi let me sell, it came down a little bit, but still ended up being a winner. So I know about this stock. I've played it before. I don't know if any of you guys watched the NBA All-Star game. It was an interesting. They changed up the format a little bit. But if you did watch it, I always like to say 2-minute warning, and then I say 2 minutos, 2 minutos. But that is what the Heat announcer does. So I'm kind of just repping the Heat announcer all day. That's what I like to do. Rep the gang there. And he actually was at the All-Star game doing his typical famous 2 minutos. It was great. It looks like ATAI is going to hold. Hopefully HGRAF can hold here in the last minute. I have an ad slightly on the way down just in case it does tick down there. I said, screw it. I'll take some more if I have to. So it looks like it's going to take me. All right, 1 minute left. That was an annoying dip in HGRAF, but it's all good. I'm going to try to add a little more here into that dip, and we'll look for the gap. Same with ATAI. Usually if they close strong with OTCs, they open strong, and this is a pretty decent close. I mean, it came down a little bit, but hopefully it can get one more tick back up into the close. And then ATAI is holding right at that 380 spot. That is the resistance. So we'll eye that down. All right, 10 seconds left. And we're really just looking for gap ups. Remember, tomorrow is a whole new day with new opportunities. RIME is our main watcher tomorrow. So if you're not with us, make sure to watch this. And if this turns around, remember we told you about it. Other than that, there is the bell. HGRAF actually closed even, which is all right. It's not my favorite, but we'll take it. And then ATAI, same thing, 379. So keep an eye on it after hours. We'll see if it's able to tick. But I'd say good work on taking advantage of dips. That's why dips are discounts. So great work there. This one we reached a little bit up here, but still it broke even. And that's really where we're going to close it out, looking for the overnight gap ups. All right, YouTube team, I enjoyed being with you guys. Every Tag a Bag Tuesday, we're here together. So if you guys liked it, hope to see you guys in the simpler trading room under Stock Mavericks. Much love, and we'll see you next week. If not, stay safe out there, guys.